Creative Juice by Lonnie here, showing you a magic slider card. Start with a 5.5 by 11 7/8 piece of Designer Series paper, and you're going to score this at 4 inches and 8 inches. When you fold this, you'll see that one side is just a little bit smaller than the other sides, a little bit shorter than 4 inches. And that's just the way we want it because that will be going on the inside. Next, you'll be cutting a window in the front of your card. I'm using the stitched rectangle dies, and I'm using the 4th largest to cut the window in the front of my card, which is the center panel. If you need to know where it lines up, you can fold your card up and use a little bit of washi tape to hold this in place. Open it up to run it through your cut and emboss machine. Now we have a window in the front of the card like this. While your dies are out, you'll want to grab the 3rd largest one as well as a piece of silver paper that is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. We're going to cut a frame out of this one. So layer your rectangles, nest the smaller one into the larger one like this. You can again hold them in place with a little washi tape. You can use this piece for another project. Then you have a little frame that we've cut from our silver glimmer paper. And we will want to adhere to the front of our card. Right around the window like that. The next thing you need is a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/4 white cardstock, and we're going to score it along this edge at 3/8 of an inch. That's the 3rd little mark at the top. Fold it over and burnish it well. This will be the part that creates the magic in the middle of your card. So we want to adhere it to the side that is the shortest. Here's our shortest side. And toward the bottom. So we're going to put it right in the fold towards the bottom like that. This is the time to use your tear and tape adhesive so it won't move. I put my tear and tape adhesive right along the edge of that piece that I folded, and then we will adhere it to the 3 7/8 inch side towards the bottom. Just like that. Next, you will want to fold it up before we adhere it, and using a circle punch or circle die, just take a little bit, about a 1/4 of a circle out of the center of the top. The top is the one that has a little bit of edge right here. So make sure you're doing it at the top of that side. Next, we're ready to do our stamping. You will need a piece of window sheet as well as basic white cardstock, both of which are cut to 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. You will probably want to die cut or punch a small circle. This one I used from the Stylish Shapes dies. And finally, you might need a little claw just to hold it in place when we are assembling our mechanism. This little piece that you cut out of the front of your card is very handy right now because it will help you to position where you need to put your stamps. So I'm taking my white piece and putting it along the line of my Stamparatus, which will help to ensure that both of the stamping that I'm doing will be in the correct spot. Use the base of your card to kind of eyeball about where that window is going to be from the top of your paper, so you know where to put your stamps. Then find the stamps you'd like to use and lay them face up as though they would be peeking out of the window of your card. I like to put my stamp case under the arm of my Stamparatus so that it will hold it in place as I am inking things up. Once you have it in the place you want, close your lid and it will pick up the stamps. You can remove that piece and we're ready to do the stamping. For this first part, I'm going to stamp in Memento ink because I'm going to color it in with our Stampin' Blends. Next, I want to position my window sheet right over the top of the white piece of cardstock that we've already stamped on. And of course, use your magnets to hold it in place. StazOn is a permanent ink that will stamp onto our window sheet. And now we have two images, one on our window sheet and one on the cardstock. We're ready to color our image, and I'm using the Stampin' Blends. Now we're ready to assemble this piece. So you will fold or score your circle in half. A technical hiccup happened there. Just use a little of the multi-purpose glue and put that on the top of your stack of window sheet and card lined up underneath it. Hold it together with a clip as it dries. Once it is dry, you will add a 5/8 inch by 3 3/4 piece of Designer Series paper to the front of the window sheet and the same size of cardstock to the back of the cardstock. It's time to assemble our card, so let's bring the base back in. And the way to do this is to put the front of the window sheet on one side of this white flap inside your card and the colored piece on the back side of the flap. like this. Now position it over the center section. So that both sides will close nicely like that. And we want to create some barrier to keep it from sliding all the way out. So using the small black dimensionals, put a dimensional right at the top, just at the outside edge of the piece that is going to slide. So you can see here's that piece that's going to slide. So I'm putting it right at the outside edge. And one at the outside edge just here, just at the top of the card, so it doesn't poke out. Then you can fold the short side in and glue all the way around the other side. Now, when you pull that out, the magic happens when the two pieces come together at the top. But you can see that it won't pull out because those two little pieces, those two little dimensionals have stopped it from coming all the way out. You can leave your card, the base of your card open like this, or you can finish it off like this. I'm using a 1.5 by 3 7/8 inch piece of black cardstock, and I will score it in half at 3/4 of an inch. Burnish that fold well with your bone folder. And I'm using the Basic Borders dies and cutting right along the center of that piece of folded cardstock. This cuts off just enough to leave a very small folded piece of cardstock with the scallops on both edges. And I'm going to adhere it towards the edges on each side. And just put it around the bottom edge of the card. The liquid glue goes on white but dries clear. So if you had any excess glue, you can use an adhesive eraser to get the excess glue off the bottom of your card. I like making sure that the recipient knows that they can pull the tab, so I will add a ribbon. This is just a 5-inch piece of the woven metallic Parakeet Party glimmer ribbon. And I fold it in half, put the fold through the hole, and then insert the two loose ends through the loop.